I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the SHR Media Studios. 2 miles from that direction lies the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the capital of California, the Capitol building itself, the Bill Mill in Sacramento. It is August 16th, the year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the show. You got a belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Tashay is going to be your bartendress tonight. She pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is, in fact, lighted to my left, your right, indicative of the fact that you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com. You can also watch the show on the SHR Media YouTube channel, and now, you can watch the show on the SHR Media Group Periscope channel. And if you happen to get a Twitter feed and you follow us, then when we go to Periscope, boom, you get a notification and the show starts immediately. How abso-friggin' cool is that? And the answer is BZ, it's really cool. We don't water our drinks. Just like we don't water our conversation, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all here at the Saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, and please don't forget to tip your waitress. Tonight, we're going to have KARI Baxter Donovan on in the first hour. She is BZ's East Coast political goddess. And in the second hour, we're going to go into essentially all things John Brennan. And you're going to hear stuff about John Brennan that you hadn't really heard before. And we're going to talk about a host of other things as well. As per normal, I've got more stuff than you could shake a dog's tail at. I said the damn word. Okay. I made a post yesterday for today, and we're having some problems in the BZ household with our dog named Teddy, and he's going to pass away pretty soon. We're both having kind of an issue trying to deal with it. This came absolutely out of nowhere, and I decided tonight that I was not going to let this affect anything. And then the first thing I did is let it affect something. So if you've ever had an animal and, they're kind of like a member of the family for that matter, and this dog, I mean, if there was ever a quintessential dog's dog, it would be this guy. And the funniest thing that we can remember is he's a rescue, and we picked him up in Mendocino County because when we vacation, we like to go to the ocean. Oh, and hey, welcome to Joe. Joe's in chat. Welcome to Mike in chat. Welcome to Whiskey Dale in chat. Welcome to Dave Milner in chat. Welcome to Mary Brockman in chat. Welcome to Beantown Billy. I just like saying it that way. Beantown Billy. And also welcome to one viewer. So thanks for being here in chat tonight. The funniest thing, because Teddy is a rescue, and we got him in 2010. And we think that in 2010, he was probably, unfortunately, rescues kind of tend to underestimate the age of the dogs. They said he was 5. We kind of think he might have been a little bit older than that. But we've had him, so you add 8 and 15, it's probably more like 6. So add either 8 and 6 or 7. And he's close to 16. He's probably 14, 15, or 16 years old. But because he's a rescue, how would you ever know? And the answer is you don't really know. So he's getting up there. And in the past month, he unfortunately just started wasting away. And took him to the vet any number of times. The vet said he has an infection. Air quotes, infection. couldn't find what the hell the deal is with it, and so he's just absolutely gone. He went from like a 29-pound dog to now he's about 18 pounds and about 15 pounds. So he's lost almost half of his dog weight. Okay, enough about that. Enough about dogs. Let's move on to KARI Baxter Donovan, who is here live and direct on the air. So, KARI Baxter Donovan, it's great to hear you here in the saloon. By the way, KARI Baxter Donovan is my East Coast political goddess. So, welcome, KARI Baxter Donovan.
Thank you so much. It's good to talk to you, and I'm sorry about your dog. It is a hard part of life.
It
loving
is.
Those dogs.
I told myself that I wasn't gonna say anything about it because I don't want to go silly. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth in the intro is I make reference to Two Shakes of a Dog's Tail or whatever the hell it was, and it put me right back in the frame of reference of, okay, well, I guess you're just going to talk about your dog for a second. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, the things about dogs, like, they're so awesome. We love them so much, and there are some people, it's hard. It's a hard part of life to let go of a pet, and I think when you're going through that, it's just really nice to be reminded that it's humanity to feel that sense of loss over a dog. So big hugs, and I hope you make it through it okay, and we can chat about it later for sure.
Thank you very much. For folks who may not know, things have really changed in KARI Baxter Donovan's life. If you want to find her, by the way, she's on Facebook.com, KARI Baxter Donovan, and also you're on Twitter at Happit, Happit 1776, and now's your time, and now's your chance to promo your new page, because you're getting an assload of hits, and the thing is going absolutely stratospheric. So tell us about your page. Tell us where it can be found. You're the co-owner and co-creator and editor-in-chief. Sorry, I bigfooted that for you. But tell folks your
awesome.
new website. Your new website is damn skyrocketing.
So it is, and I've had some help along the way. So I'm very grateful and thankful for all the help I've had along the way. The site is at populist-media.com, populist-media.com. And I really sort of cemented my ideas with my co-founder on what it is. It's a multimedia. It's multimedia. Let's see, how did I describe it? I had it perfect the other day. Okay, it's so many things.
You
There's
need a
so many
3x5 card.
But basically, it's a platform, a multimedia platform for activists. So we're going to have print, which I'm working on right now, and you're going to love this story of this woman who has this magazine, and she came from communist China, and she makes this beautiful magazine full of haute couture and beautiful women and all of the stuff that you see in magazines, and you're like, you know that a leftist made it and you don't want to touch it. Well, she makes these beautiful magazines, and then she puts beautiful women in beautiful clothing with rifles. And it's like, what? And she said, she's just busting out of her box, and she came from communist China, and her husband's a conservative artist. And so I'm like, I love you. I have to do something with you. And so she was texting me all day today.
Let me ask you, that's not Lily
Digital, which is the Facebook. I'm sorry, what?
That's not Lily Tang Williams, is it?
Lily Tang Williams.
Because, okay, apparently, all right. If the name doesn't resonate with you, that's okay.
No.
But, okay, I'm on your website.
Digital.
I'm on your website right now, and I'm looking, because we are going to get into this, and you have a 3-column website. And, by the way, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Whoever is your web designer is damn brilliant. This thing is beautiful.
He is. That's my partner. And I have nothing to do with the technical stuff. But I do make it look really sexy and fun, don't I?
Tell him.
With all my photos.
Tell him to do whatever the heck he's doing. Tell him to continue it, because this website is as appealing as any other website that I've seen. It's clear. It's logical. It's well organized. So don't let anybody else mess with that. It's
Scott.
Great. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention and then ask you about is in the middle, in the center column, there's a graphic of an eagle with a flag, and it looks like the Gadsden flag. Is that the artist that you're talking about?
And I'm going to tell you about that.
But is that the artist?
Well, no, that's not the artist.
Oh, damn.
No, I don't know who the artist is on that, but
because that's great
you're
art.
You're going to love that story because it has to do with Steve Bannon.
Okay, and don't think that I'm not going to ask you about that because I am.
You're going to let me talk about him. I know how much you're going to love that
look,
one.
Folks that are watching on the show, I'm holding up a list. This is a list of questions that I have, and this is my cut sheet for the show for the second hour. And here's the list of questions and topics and stuff that I want to ask KARI. So don't you think, KARI, that you're going to get away with not being asked that question? Because I just want to let you know I got it right here. Okay. I've got it.
You know I want to talk about Steve Bannon.
Oh,
so,
no,
sure.
I would never have thought of that. No. Oh, my God. Get out of here.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Well, I actually got to meet him and sit with him for a few minutes. And so I just leveled up. So I want to tell you about that. But the logo is beautiful, and that has to do with his new organization. That's his website that he's put out, and it was released today. So that is the logo for his it's Citizens of the American Republic.
Okay. And
it's his his political nonprofit thing. So that's what that is there.
Okay.
And Scott does all the technical stuff. I do the photos and the articles and that kind of stuff. So I need Scott though. He is a genius and a good guy.
Well, tell you what, since we're already here, and since you're already on the topic, I'm looking at Populist Wire, and in the middle, with that beautiful graphic, it says, Election 2018, 10 hours ago, Citizens of the American Republic website launched Trump at War Companion. Now, those are two separate things. First things first, KARI Baxter Donovan, BZ's East Coast political goddess, is who we're speaking to right now, live and direct in BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show from the SHR, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media studios right here. So first tell people what Citizens of the American Republic is. Do you guys just call it KAR? Is that what you refer it to as now?
Well, and so I think it's COAR, COAR, right?
Okay, so that's how you quantify it. Okay.
Yeah, Citizens of the American Republic, and it's his website.
Okay. And
he has an organization. I got a chance to go to see him in D.C. this past, I would say weekend because it felt like a weekend, on Tuesday, and because he has been working with a group that I'm associated with, Black Americans for a Better Future.
Okay.
And so I was meeting with him mostly about that, and maybe doing some, and talking about some other things, the trailer that was released today. So I have a little bit of an inside track on that because of the work that I do with the Black Americans for a Better Future. They had a meeting with Steve Bannon, and I got to be a part of that meeting, that's really my wheelhouse. That's really what I really love, that activism. And he's the only person who's involved with that. And so when people say that he's a racist, it's like, you don't even know that he's the least racist. He's been trying to bust open avenues of communication for people, and I've been a part of that. I've been lucky enough to be a part of that and see that from, follow that for over a year. So that's why I was there. And then I got a chance to be involved a little bit with finding out about this core. So the core, what that is it's his organizing body. And what he really wants, I got a chance to ask him a couple of questions about it. One of them is he really wants people to understand what economic nationalism is.
Okay.
And another thing is he really wants people to be put into action. So instead of, community organizing, out in the streets protesting, that's what you kind of think of, right? But Steve Bannon really is a brilliant community organizer. I don't know if he thinks of himself that way, but that's really what he's doing. And so that website is going to organize. It's a beautiful website. It's gorgeous. And it has some articles about him and what he's doing and this movie. And so it's a companion to this movie, Trump at War.
Okay.
But he's got the topics are economic nationalism and then stuff about Steve Bannon. So, for example, I noticed there's an article there about an interview he's having tomorrow. So that's what that, and if you sign up, I think you get some updates on things that are going on and about the movie and about Steve himself.
Okay.
And I don't know what his plans are exactly for that website. Other than that, educating and trying to encourage people to be active, doing something.
Let's back up a little bit. You mentioned economic nationalism. To a lot of people, that's just kind of, it sounds like a phrase. Okay, I get what economic is.
Right.
And okay, I get what nationalism is. What's the core belief? See what I did there? What's the core belief behind economic nationalism? Or in other words, what does it mean to you? When you say that, what's it mean?
I can tell you what it means to me. What it means to the organization, they do have a definition on that page. But what it means to me, so this is me speaking now, is economic nationalism really, when it's boiled down to it, has a lot to do with business regulations that prevent entrepreneurship and small businesses. Excuse me. And specifically where Bannon is so strong that a lot of people don't know about is that he's really trying to help, like I said, open up avenues for black entrepreneurs. And that is something that President Bush spent some time trying to do, but he wasn't very effective, at it long term. Like Trump has really sunk his teeth into that.
Okay, I'm on your Twitter feed right now, and I'm looking at one of the posts that you have here. And it's kind of a double-sided post. One of the things that you just put out was, in my 20 years of doing black outreach on economic nationalism, Steve Bannon is single-handedly the highest-ranking person to share his network and contacts to bring equality to economics. And I know because I've been in the meetings. And so,
right. I want the whole world to know about that.
Okay.
Because I've been working on these issues myself personally. I was a job developer, so I developed jobs with companies in Hollywood, and I also worked with developmentally disabled adults, felons, and homeless people, trying to help them get jobs and companies through the JTPA, which is Job Training Placement Act, to develop programs so that they could hire people and get money back from the government. So, I've been doing a lot of that kind of work, and politicians never want to share their contacts in their network. They're always, trying to protect their territory.
Right.
And that's something that's very impressive to me about Steve Bannon, which I don't know him that well, but from what I have seen through this group, he's just throwing out his contacts and trying to help people.
So that's what you meant.
And
you
trying
meant
to help black entrepreneurs.
You meant literally he was sharing basically his Rolodex to people that were looking to network with a lot of other people. Yeah, and that's essentially what you're saying is he opened his Rolodex to you.
Yeah,
that's incredibly.
It's so impressive in this day and age, especially. Yeah,
that's incredibly beneficial to have somebody of that high. The dude has to have tons and tons of contacts. I also noticed in that
from
tweet
what I've seen,
that Mike Cernovich replied to that and said, "Hey, anybody have any thoughts?" And then there was this, and I'm sure you want to talk about this as well. There's an article apparently from Salon.com that you reference in here. The headline says, "Conservatives cheer Steve Bannon's return, GOP's 2018 prospects." Now, is that what you were interested in talking about with regard to Steve Bannon?
Well, so I know that there are some people who follow politics, and there are some journalists who are down on Steve Bannon.
Right.
And some of them believe that he's at war with Trump and he's trying to undermine him. And there's all this politics, and I really kind of hate politics. But Cernovich had posted that, "What do you think of this article?" And basically, because I know him and I know a little bit of the story, I know that he's kind of saying, like, how do y'all feel about Steve Bannon? So I took the opportunity to say, hey, by the way, y'all know me, and I love Steve Bannon still. So he's not perfect, and I'm not going to, beat anybody up for not, loving him like I do. But I just wanted to chime in on that specific post because I wanted people out there in the journo world, the citizen journalists and the right media and all of that, to know, like, no, I still appreciate him, and I have a very good and valid reason why I do. It's not just, me being starstruck or something like that, or
although you are starstruck.
It's very valid.
Come on, admit it.
Well,
You're starstruck.
Well,
Come
totally.
on.
I am, but that's not the only reason why.
Out with it. Out with it.
What?
Yeah, I got you to admit it, too. I got you to admit it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I never lie. I never lie. So, but I really want people to understand the reason why, I hold this respect for him that I do. Other than, the hero worship stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's hero worship. Hey, again, at least you're honest. Two things that I've said for years that I value, honesty and clarity. You're honest and you're clear. Okay, that's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no kidding. There's a ton of stuff that I'd like to talk to you about, but let's go back to Populist Wire if we could. There are some stories.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking out of school. You and I have talked on a couple of occasions about an individual named Sharika Soul. And you gave me some contact information for her, and I contacted her on Twitter, and we completely missed. She thought that she was going to be on at 11 o'clock, and if apparently I wasn't clear or she wasn't clear, I started the show at 8 o'clock, and she's ready to roll at 11 o'clock this time, and so she's not real happy with me. So I'm not going to get her that much as clear, but you have a really good relationship with her, and she's just kind of an out there kind of Jessie. Tell us about Sharika's Soul. She has had a tortured life, and you have written some recent articles about her in Populist Wire.
I have. I've written about her a few times, and she's very open and upfront about her tortured life, and her son has been abused, and she has been abused, sexually abused, and so she is very, very passionate about topics of human trafficking, of child molestation, sexual abuse against children especially, but all people. And so with Sharika, I think that maybe some people who might come up across her and find her to be angry or frustrated or something like that she's been through a lot. She's been through a lot, and she basically busted up the Hollywood resistance on Twitter, which I write about in a Proud Boys article there. She did that, and I wrote about it, and I watched the whole thing. And, they were really harassing her. She's a brilliant woman.
Okay.
And she puts together these, she actually texted me tonight, and she said that President Trump had read an email that she wrote about a petition that she had written for child sexual abuse, and that she really wanted him to pay attention to it. And she was so impressed because he wrote back to her and said that he paid attention to it. And so she's newly on the, MAGA wagon. She had been a Democrat. She's been working in this Hollywood resistance. And then I wrote about that. She said, she was disenchanted when she realized that she's like the pre-Me Too movement. She put all that together. They basically stole all of her ideas to use it as self-promotion. That's when she sort of had her, aha moment. Oh, what are these people doing? They're using my work to promote themselves, and they don't even care. They didn't care about her movement. They didn't care about her child. They actually were harassing her. And so she's very vocal now that people on the MAGA movement have been so warm and embracing to her and helping her, and respect her work more.
Okay,
that her work is very important to her.
Can I go back a little bit? For the people that are not familiar, the terms that you and I use and that we may be familiar with might not be familiar with a lot of other people. So can maybe you expand a little bit on what is the Hollywood resistance and how is she involved with the Hollywood resistance? What is that?
Well, so it's funny because she was writing at one point petitions for candidates to use in their campaign. For example, one of the petitions that she wrote was she wanted Steve Bannon out of the White House. And she said, "Kari, you're going to hate me because I wanted Steve Bannon out of the White House." And I said, hey, he doesn't need everybody to love him as much as I do. But, I respect an activist's work. So if you're that passionate about it and you wrote up a petition and some candidate picked it up, hey, I mean, that's activism. That's how the ball rolls, whatever. So she wrote up these petitions, and candidates would pick them up, and they would see like, oh my gosh, she got a million signatures on a petition she wrote for a bill that she wanted about human trafficking. And that's when people started to realize Sharika's onto something here. She's got 1 million people to pay attention to this petition. So I'm sorry, did I get off the topic?
Well, basically, I was looking for you to explain what the Hollywood Resistance is.
The Hollywood Resistance. I'm sorry. So the Hollywood Resistance is a group of posters on Twitter specifically, I think, but they're, around in different places. But they do most of their work on Twitter. And they're sort of a tag team. They're kind of a bully team. And it's led by Alyssa Milano. And Sharika was working with somebody in one of the big Democrat organizing Twitter accounts. And he said, could you use she's a celebrity publicist, could you use your ties to bring Hollywood over here? And we'll start to organize them to resist Trump. And it's led by Alyssa Milano, and they call themselves the Resistance, and they hashtag resist Trump, et cetera. So they're Democrats, and they're organizing to go out, and they basically bully posters who are saying anything nice about Trump or who have been seen at a rally or something, because they're big stars and celebrities.
Okay.
And they've been in movies.
All right.
So that's the Hollywood Resistance. And they started to get connected with Sharika and see these petitions that she was making. And these she was putting together ideas for bills that she had. So on top of being a celebrity publicist, she should be writing bills. I mean, her bills are mind-boggling that she puts together. And so this Hollywood Resistance saw her work and basically started taking things from her work for their promotion of this Hollywood Resistance movement to resist Trump, right?
Okay.
And
so basically,
there was even one of the Ted Lieu picked one of her things up.
Basically, intellectual property theft.
Yes. Oh, yes. And so they're stealing her things. They're threatening her. They're calling her names. They're following her around on Twitter. And just there was a black pastor who was calling her a coon and all kinds of things. And that's when I was like, I don't care who you are, but this is like injustice. So
okay.
I got to delve into this. And that's how I found her.
Let's back that up just a little bit. They're unhappy. The Hollywood Resistance, the people in Hollywood who hate Donald Trump and want to do anything to cut him and hurt him. The people in Hollywood are giving her crap, a young black female that they're well aware is the victim of abuse, as is her child as well. They know all this.
Yeah.
They stole basically a bunch of her ideas, and because she objected to said theft, then their job, they've discovered, is to attempt to make her life a living hell. Do I have that right?
Yes, and she actually said to me that in this little group of people who were posting together, one of them also left and then was harassed and actually did commit suicide from the harassment. Because you remember, this is Hollywood. She's in Hollywood. She's a Hollywood celebrity publicist. So she's there, and she's in this crowd of people, and they're threatening her, we're going to destroy you, we're going to destroy your jobs. I mean, it's like they're vicious. They came after me when I wrote the article. They were going to sue me, and I just told them, you just go step off because I'm not afraid of you. But they try to come after me, too. They're vicious. The name calling. But, as adults, we think, oh, come on, it's just a bunch of names. But when it's threatening, it's threatening your circle of friends, threatening to out you, just calling you names, and especially when this black pastor called her, quote unquote, the N-word, and it was on Twitter. Now, here's the thing. In that article, in the Proud Boys article, it's Sharika who's saying that it was the Proud Boys who were protecting her from the Hollywood Resistance.
Okay, hold that thought. We got to take a break. When we come back, folks, we're listening to KARI Baxter Donovan, who is BZ's East Coast political goddess. She is the co-creator and also the editor-in-chief of Populist Wire. When we come back, KARI Baxter Donovan, what I would like to do if we could is go into that story about the Proud Boys Who are they? What do they have to do with anything? And why are they noteworthy in any fashion whatsoever? Folks, you're listening to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct right here from the SHR Media Studios. Please come back.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
the
thingies. Those
what?
Things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the second half hour of the first hour, confused yet, of the Berserk Bobcat Saloon, courtesy of me, your fat, rotund one, with bulbosity unrestrained. That is I, the bloviating Zeppelin. By the by, I should care to mention that you can find us on Twitter and follow us on Twitter. We've got a YouTube channel, and it's the SHR Media YouTube channel. Go there quick like a bunny and subscribe to that bad boy. And also, we're on Periscope. When you can find us on Periscope, just go into your favorite search engine, write down SHR, tickety-tack, SHR Media Group, Periscope, and you'll find that, especially if you're on Twitter. By the way, you may not know that Twitter owns Periscope, so when the Periscope stuff goes out, you get a notification from Twitter, and like us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Social media, it's where it's at. We are talking, folks, to KARI Baxter Donovan, BZ's East Coast political goddess. She's on with us, luckily, for the rest of the hour, right up to the witching hour, midnight, back east, which is only 9 o'clock on the left coast, because that's how it rolls. And by the way, it'll be 1776 and 28.723 subparagraph 4 Bolivian time at 9 o'clock Pacific time, just for the people that are interested in that. So welcome back, KARI Baxter Donovan. I was going to ask you about the Proud Boys, and I see you wrote an article about that. Who are the Proud Boys? What do they do, and why should we be interested in them?
Well, the Proud Boys basically are a group of pro-American, American first. I believe they came out as Trump supporters. They are male chauvinists. What they say, they use the word chauvinist, which is very frightening to some people, which basically means they believe in Western civilization. But the left uses it, and some people on the right who are scared of that word chauvinist use that as a way to, frame them as being anti-feminist and anti-democratic and those kinds of things.
Okay, so are people trying to quantify them as, I don't know, supremacists, white nationalists?
So that they're white supremacists. Apparently, they're getting deplatformed, is very similar to Alex Jones. They're getting kicked off of all of their social media. Now, I know some people who are Proud Boys, and they're telling me that they're being shut down. Gavin McGinnis, who is, I don't know if he's the president, the founder, the leader. I can't really remember what his title is, but he's sort of the head of the Proud Boys organization. And the Proud Boys are very physical. So they were involved in some rallies in some, I think Charlottesville, maybe they were involved in places where they were defending Western civilization, defending the president, defending Trump supporters. And so, of course, the left has very successfully, because they're very good at this subversive crap, they framed the Proud Boys as, you are the violent ones. You're the racist. You're the problem of all of these rallies and protests. Antifa is not the problem. The Proud Boys are the problem. So they very successfully, and of course, big tech is right there, waiting with Chinese communist tactics to shut them down.
Right.
So they're being deplatformed for being racist. Now, my story, of course, I always love that irony. I just want to find that gotcha thing. So story where Sharika was posting, basically, she's in love with a Proud Boy, and the Proud Boy had come to rescue her. And, she's very dramatic. She's a brilliant woman. She's very dramatic. And sometimes I have to, is that really, so I sent her a note, Sharika, what were you trying to say there? Did that really happen? And so she told me the whole story. And then she sent me texts that back it up. And so she's been on a mission lately. White men are not the problem. The Proud Boys are the ones who were protecting me when the Hollywood resistance, a bunch of white women, were harassing her and calling her every name in the book. They knew that she had been sexually abused. Okay. And so this is, if you know that somebody has been sexually abused and you're going on this Me Too thing, which you stole from her, it's but you're still harassing a woman who is a victim of childhood sexual assault and abuse. They're crazy. Okay, they're crazy. The Hollywood resistance. So the story there isn't that ironic? So Twitter shuts down the Proud Boys, saying that they're racist. And here's a black woman that Twitter really, even Sharika will say, they're not going to shut me down because I'm black. So Twitter knows that she's there. They know the whole, and in my article, Twitter has responded to her being bullied and harassed by the Hollywood resistance. They know the whole story, yet they still can't say, let's examine this and take a closer look. that's the irony of that article. And so when Sharika puts it out there, boy, do I get my impressions go through the roof, because there are a lot of people who follow her and have been following her story. And she's a wonderful spokeswoman for white male chauvinists, who were treating her very well. And that's what one of the things that Gavin McInnes had said. Now, there are a lot of people who don't want to cover stories like that because association, and since the left is so successful at framing these narratives.
Oh, right, because you can be
say, don't
tainted.
Just drop the story.
Yeah, you can be tainted with that stuff.
Yeah, and so, but I just walk right into it, because I'm not that smart. So I just, I see that irony, and I just want to get it, and I just want to say no, and I want to frame the left back in their face. That's just like that comes from my community organizing days. And so there are times when people will say, you shouldn't write about this, you shouldn't write about that. But I can't help it, and so I wandered right into the Proud Boys controversy. I actually support the chauvinism, the Western chauvinism thing, because I believe that, that being a stay-at-home mom isn't something demonic. So I'm okay with that.
Here's part of what you wrote in the article. You wrote this, background on when Soul broke the Hollywood resistance. Sharika Soul exposed her interactions with high-profile member of the Hollywood resistance to populist media, and we covered those conversations in other stories. Soul was the victim of online harassment and stalking by members of the Hollywood resistance, as you indicated, the group led by Alyssa Milano, after interactions in chat rooms set up by Democrats. When Soul left the online chat rooms for resistors that she built to look for support for her work exposing child crimes, she said she found understanding with the MAGA movement, not the left, and inflamed hatred and anger from the resistance group that she left. That's a perfect summary of what happened. And like you say, isn't it ironic that the people that everyone thinks should be the last to support a young black woman are the first to support a young black woman? There's your delicious irony.
Because she's a woman. Because she's a woman, and that's what men want to protect women and children. Well, so hopefully along the road, somewhere along the way, somebody's going to say, "Oh, I see. It's not really that horrible that men want to protect women, and that women like it." So there's another little twist.
Oh my God!
Wait!
No! Oh, my God! Did you just hear what you said, woman?
I did.
Did you just say?
I'll say it again.
Did you just say that men inherently want to protect women, and women inherently want to be protected? If there is a female,
I said it. I said it.
And
somebody will probably want to hit me in the head
God.
with a shovel and light me on fire. Those are the kinds of responses I usually get from leftist women. If I say, "Listen, you can be whatever you want to be," but I actually like men like that. I like men who want to protect me. I want to be protected. What's wrong with that? I want to be a mom. I want to be a wife.
I know what I can tell you exactly. No, I can tell you exactly what's wrong with that. You're going to leftist feminist hell. Don't you realize what you've just done? Don't you realize what you've just said? Holy crap, young woman.
I've had a woman and her humongous husband telling me, "I'm going to hit you in the head with a shovel and then light you on fire." So, I mean, I've gotten chased around for my views on men and women. So anyway, there's that story.
You must have been in a gas station at the time. Two more stories that I'd like to go over before the top of the hour. One of them is you wrote something recently, and I don't know if you wrote it, but it's on your site. Maybe I should go to the story to see if you wrote it, about Roger Stone.
Yes.
Okay, so
Roger Stone has been a joy to me. I really have enjoyed him.
Okay. And the funny thing that everybody should know about Roger Stone is, if I'm not mistaken, he already has been or is about to be subpoenaed in the Mueller investigation. And I don't know yet if he's actually appeared.
I heard a rumor today. Yeah, I heard a rumor today, and it comes from Jack Posobiec, who many people trust and have, and put a lot of weight into what he says. I don't know how often he's wrong. He's a very smart man, so I'm going to go with it. Apparently, he is saying that there's an indictment that's coming very soon, and both he and Roger Stone believe that it's for Roger Stone. So that doesn't come from me. I don't know anything about that, but that's what I've heard. And if so, I am completely outraged about the story about Roger Stone, not just because I like Roger Stone. I do like Roger Stone, and I think that he's an invaluable activist. See, I always like the activist. That's my, that's why I'm a marketing firm for activists. But Roger Stone is getting.
Can I tell you the one thing that I did hear about Roger Stone, and maybe you can confirm that for me, is it was either this week or last week that I heard he has stated publicly that he is not going to roll, no matter what, on Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. And is that correct?
Wrote about that too.
That's what I heard.
And I sent it to him, and he confirmed that he said that.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe
he did say that. He said he's not rolling. And I wrote the article which says he's not gonna lie to Mueller just to get him off his back. So I love Roger Stone because he's kind of sassy and he's bombastic, and I love that. And he's also been very kind to me. So he'll give me an exclusive, which helps my site, right? And he gave me an exclusive, and then he sent it in Daily Caller, linked me, and I got a ton of traffic that way. That's very kind, and that's very supportive of him.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And so Roger Stone, what is happening to him, though, is outrageous. It's the same thing that happened to General Flynn, which is outrageous, which Mueller is trying to do to Trump supporters. And I even said to Roger Stone when I met him at the National Press Club, and I was at their little their press conference there, and I said, this should be concerning to all activists, all citizen journalists, citizen pundits, all of us, is that they're going after the big guys right now to drain their pocketbooks. But they can, if they are successful, they can then go after you, BZ, for having your radio program, me for having my website. They're basically going after him, and they don't even care anymore. If you know it, it's because he supported Trump. Now, because they don't have anything. This whole Grucifer 2.0, he let me post those, and that went viral too. So Roger Stone has been very, very kind to me, very helpful to me.
Let me read the article.
Trying to get this site launched.
The article that you wrote is exclusive. Desperate media continues fantasy witch hunt of Roger Stone. The thing that I think is damn brilliant under that, there's a picture of a photo of Roger Stone holding up a white T-shirt, and the T-shirt says Trump versus everybody 2016.
I'm so glad that you got that because, I'm such a geek about my photojournalism, and I just want someone to get it.
That T-shirt ought to go viral. And the story starts like this. Friday, a former aide of Roger Jason Stone Jr.'s was held in contempt of court for ignoring a subpoena from the Robert Swan Mueller III Special Counsel investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election of Donald John Trump Sr. We asked him to be held in contempt in order for us to appeal the judge's decision to the Court of Appeals, said Mueller's lawyer Paul Kamenar. Kamenar argued that Mueller is a principal officer, and he said, according to the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, that means the President of the United States shall nominate him and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. Mueller was not nominated by the President and with the advice and consent of Congress, therefore it's unconstitutional, which is a very interesting take.
Interesting, huh?
On that.
That's why that article took off. It has an exclusive statement, but that's really what I think they're saying. There's something else coming down. Was he a principal officer or an inferior whatever officer?
Right. Well, essentially,
I want
a technicality based in law, which I think is great. There's another issue. I don't know if you've covered this because I'm looking now at another article. It's not by you, but I want to get your thoughts on this. We got about 10 minutes left before the top of the hour. And
I knew that. Did Yvette write it?
Maybe. No, it's... Oh, yes, Yvette wrote it. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And,
she's my citizen journalist. I'm training her.
Okay, cool as that.
So excited.
So I'm curious what you think about this. I'd like to read her headline and her story, about a paragraph or so. And then I'd like your input on this. Now, this is by Yvette Munoz. The headline says, Omarosa may face legal repercussions after secretly recording as she was let go from the White House. The first couple of paragraphs say this: Omarosa, best known for her appearance as the villain in the reality TV show The Apprentice, recently released her new book called Unhinged after working for the Trump administration as director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison. She's currently on a book tour and sitting down with talk show hosts to promote her literature regarding her experience in the White House. She recently released some recordings where she taped Chief of Staff John Kelly firing her from her position in the Trump administration, and a phone call with President Trump after her dismissal. Stop right there just a second. I'd like to interject something, and then I'd like your opinion on this. First things first, recording people can get you in jail. And it also, in the state of California, which is a messed up state, as everyone well knows, do you remember the folks that went with the abortion providers and videotaped them saying essentially how cool it was to part out babies just before they were born? And that guy in California went to jail and was arrested because of the California law, which states if two people are not aware of a video or a conversation being recorded, that if both parties are not aware, the party doing the recording can go to jail. That guy did go to jail and subsequently was prosecuted. So Omarosa, particularly, can go to jail on that. So let me back up a little bit. Omarosa, in my opinion, is famous for being famous, and that's about it. So the big question for me is, if she's been associated with Trump for 15 years, apparently never found him a racist then, does really wickedly stupid things while she's in the White House. Trump wakes up. I think he thought he was doing her a favor by putting her on the team, although that's a questionable, certainly a questionable decision in my mind about that. Having said that, though, I'd like your overall thoughts about Omarosa, because, quite frankly, it sounds like nothing but a book promo. That's all this is about.
Well,
it's just a damn book
I
promo.
interviewed, for Big League Politics, I interviewed a woman named Shirley Hauser, who was the only black grassroots activist to meet with Omarosa.
Okay.
And she told me her story, and that's over at Big League Politics, is that this is nothing but Switch Bitch 2. She said this is nothing but a book. This is nothing but a book tour. And Omarosa, now I know enough, and if you ask Brainard Jackson, he'll tell you that I'm not bad for a white girl. He says she's just like one of us. So she can hang out over here. So that's my group, Black Americans for a Better Future. Okay. So I spent a lot of time with real black grassroots activists from the Civil War, from the Civil Rights Movement to today. So I know a lot of them, and they do not like Omarosa. They don't like her for a number of reasons. And so I think it was a miscalculation on President Trump's part to give her the position of black outreach, because she doesn't know any of them. I know them. I would be better at the job than Omarosa was. So it was a miscalculation on President Trump's part. Unfortunately, he thought she would be loyal, and apparently she wasn't. So this is either some big, planned drama, or she's a very shallow and selfish woman. But the thing is, the black community is not behind her. This entire story is nothing to them. This entire story is everything to white America, to black America. They do not care. They don't even like her. So they're just like, "Who? We don't care if he calls her whatever he calls her. She should, she should be in prison." And there are numbers of real activists who are furious and they just want to see her. They don't want to harm her, but they want her to go away. They want the story to be done. So I'd have to side with them. I wish that the story would go away. It's really nothing.
So basically what it is here's an individual, and melanin count really does have, it's got absolutely nothing to do with it at all. We've found someone who happens to be a remora, a parasite, who attached herself to the dorsal fin of Donald John Trump, and then decided that she was going to go along for the ride until somebody else from a boat above decided that they were going to sever the relationship and that contact patch with her and Donald John Trump and get her off of his damn dorsal fin. It sounds like it's pretty much as complicated
Right.
as that. And you know
but
what?
I do want to, but I do want to insert something there.
Okay.
That's my citizen journalist, Yvette, and she is awesome. And so that's really what Populist-Media, it's Populist Media LLC. That's what I really want to do. Is I want to find, and she's a beautiful young Hispanic woman, and she wants to write about Univision, and she wants to expose things that are being said to Hispanic people. She's a Trump supporter.
Ooh.
She loves Trump. She's very conservative. And so I'm going to tell her that you spoke about her article, and she will be so excited because that's what I want to do. I want to put citizen journalists up, and I want them to get encouragement, equip them, put them into action, put them out in, streets or wherever they can find stories, get them contacts, and give them some attention. And if we could fill the whole country up with people like that, we would not have to worry about these, what do you call them, the maggots,
American media maggots, yeah.
Right. We could just steamroll them. We could just take them all if we could get more Yvette. And so I'm glad that you brought her article up.
Tell her that she needs to convince the Hispanic community that Jorge Ramos and all of Univision, they exist nothing as to be flax for the politicians in Mexico City. That's all that.
Yeah, she's fired up about the
all
Univision.
they do.
She wants to talk about. I'm going to tell her right now when I get off the phone with you.
They're not a news organization.
Yeah,
they're an advocacy group.
Started writing in Spanish.
Oh, they're just an advocacy group. Okay, we've got 3 more minutes.
I don't know about it. She tells me that. I'm sorry, what?
Tell her all that good stuff then. We got 3 more minutes. I want to ask you this. November is coming. The Democrats are saying there's going to be a blue wave, and they're indicating that it's going to be a blue tsunami. Conversely, some of the people on the red side of the aisle are saying, you know what, we almost kind of got it in the bag. I submit we don't got it in the bag. I submit that we got to work hard. I submit that in the elections that we saw this past week and in weeks prior, Democrats are coming out in a rather large number.
Yeah.
Can you what's
movie trailer?
What can you guys do on your end? I'm doing as much as I can on my end, which isn't a hell of a lot because I don't have billions of listeners. What can you do to help?
I'll tell you what we're going to do, and you can do it with us.
Okay.
So this
we got to
vote
red.
Came out that Steve Bannon made, and I wrote about that.
Okay.
The movie trailer is going to come out. The movie is going to be released on September 9th. What I'm saying is, and I'm getting other people, and they're excited about this, is we need to have movie viewing parties, but we can't stop there. After the movie viewing parties, this entire walkaway movement that everybody's talking about, we need to tell them, be walking away over to your GOP office and volunteer. Get your butts out there, go and get the vote and turn it out like you did when you were Democrats. They already know how to do that. Many of these, people who support Trump, but go do it for the GOP now. Hold your nose, even if you don't like them, and get Republicans in office. And just like Steve Bannon says, this is an up or down vote on an impeachment. That's what they need to think about. So if you've walked away and now you love President Trump, you need to go walk away over there to the GOP office and volunteer. So we're going to be pushing that really hard on Populist Media.
Great.
After this movie. That's what I started writing about today. And I'm going to be on the radio with Pete Finelli this weekend talking about it. So organize a group of people, have them come over to your house, watch this outrageous movie that we're going to see. It's going to be just like, Steve Bannon said, you're going to feel like you got to get up out of a chair with a pitchfork. And that's what I always say. See, that's why he and I are like kindred spirits, because he got that from me. Maybe he read it off my social media.
Torches and
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Torches and pitchforks, dude. Torches and pitchforks. That's what we need. At the bottom of every post that I'm making these days, I've got a graphic that says, vote red in November. Overwhelm the vote. We got to get out. You cannot be complacent. You cannot say we've got it in the bag. There is no clear indicator from any poll that we have anything in the bag. So we need to be resolute. We need to be clear, no matter the weather, no matter the time. Get out and vote red in November.
To keep posting. We keep getting deplatformed and taken off, and so my thing is, that's okay. Then post 10 times as much, and one of them will get out. And we have to remember, too, that even if we're only influencing 5 people, keep talking. Keep talking. Don't feel like my platform's too small so it's not going to matter, because if everyone does that, then we have nothing. And that's what usually happens with Republicans. They get lazy, they get quiet, they get busy, whatever, and they don't talk to anybody. So just keep talking, talk to 2 people or 3 people, go find someone at the grocery store, and post on social media 10 times as much. And we all have to do that, and we have to fight as hard as we can, because we really are at war. And people are beating up, Bannon for saying that we're at war, but, Trump said it, we feel it.
Kurt Schlichter said
the average person who doesn't even know.
Yeah, Kurt Schlichter said it on Tuesday.
We're at war.
We are at war. Bingo. Bottom line. End of statement. Folks, we've been talking to KARI Baxter Donovan for the entire hour. KARI, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We will obviously have you back. Best wishes for everything going on at Populist Wire. We cannot afford to be complacent in the slightest. Period. End of statement. At all.
Amen.
Folks, come back after the break.
Bye.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network, at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
what?
thingies. Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the second hour of the Bloviating Zeppelins. That's me. Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show as I broadcast languidly ensconced within the grotatious and lustrous, palatial and sumptuous SHR Media Studios. Look around you. Look around as you're here. Looking in the studio, looking at what's behind me, looking at this beautiful thin blue line American flag at the license plate right above that says BZ's BBS for Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Look at the flag of honor right here commemorating all the people that were killed on 9/11. Sumptuous and palatial indeed. Well, Sackhead Sean has been promoting the heck out of the show, and I thank him for that tonight. And he made me aware of a video that I'm going to play sometime before the end of the show. And you know what? I might even play it now because he said when he first saw this thing, it was a laugh riot. And then he played it for me. And I started laughing. I saw maybe 5 seconds of the thing. And so it's a video which you're not going to see the video here, but you're going to hear it. And listening to the video, that's the funny part. Let me set it up for you. What the hell? I'll play it right now because it is funny and maybe we need something to laugh about. These are two guys that happen to be in a rally car. And in a rally car, there's the driver and then there's the navigator. The navigator has a set of instructions because they've mapped this out before. The navigator goes through the various courses that they have to drive, and he will make announcements to the driver as to what to do and when to do it. And coordinating together, it's all about how well you work in the cockpit of the automobile. So knowing that, and I love to watch rally, by the way, because watching it on like sports or Fox Sports 1 or something like that is fun. I love the interior cockpit perspective of rally cars, dragsters, F1. It's a lot of fun. But what's even more fun is if I can get this thing to play this video of the driver and the navigator in a rally car and the interplay, I guess you could call it that, the interplay between the two of these guys, and let's see if we'll get that to play. Oh, wait a minute. I think we need to do the volume here. Okay. I'm going to have to start this
5,
again.
4, 3, 2,
There we go.
1, go. Fast, sharp right. Fast, sharp right. Sharp right. Sharp right. Listen. Sammy, you have to listen to my call, Sammy. Please, I beg you. Fast, medium right. You have to turn the wheel, Sammy. 40, fast, medium left. 50, downhill, triple caution. Triple caution, stay center. Triple caution, stay center. Whoa. Concentrate, Sammy, please. Medium left, long. Turn in. Medium left. Medium left, nice and easy. Turn. Throttle. Fast, medium left, long. In. Medium right, concentrate. Medium left. Listen to my calls. Medium left into sharp left. You're not concentrating, Sammy. You're watching out the driving. Sammy, you have to listen, Sammy. Otherwise, it is not working, Sammy. Seriously, you are watching and driving. You have to be easy, Sammy. Otherwise, we won't finish. You have to be easy, Sammy. I'm telling you, you are not listening. Shut up. No, I'm just giving you advice, Sammy. Into double caution jump. Double caution jump. No, stay on road. Sammy, please. Sammy. Fast, medium right. Listen to the call. Sammy, please listen to the call. Sharp left. Sammy, you have to stay on road, Sammy. Otherwise, car will break down. Sammy, you will wreck the car. We will not finish. You have to stay on road, Sammy, please. Okay. Fuck. Sammy, what are you doing, man? Fucking hell. Sammy, can you please concentrate? Please, I beg you. We are wrecking the car. Oh. Sammy, you are wrecking the car. Shut up. Sammy, what are you doing, my friend? Shut up. Don't tell me how to drive.
Sammy, you are wrecking the car. I'm sorry. What you can't see, folks, is that across the way where Clint normally sits, Sean is sitting there with a pair of headphones clapped on his head. He and I both laughed every time we played this. He's played this about 75,000 times today, and he's over there breaking up like crazy, and he's heard it for the 75,000th time, and it's as funny then as it was the first time he ever played it. So thanks, Sackhead Sean, for giving me that. And I'm a sharing, caring person, so I had to share and care with you. Well, what do we do customarily on the second hour in the saloon? Well, I'd say generally we have this.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Here's a happy story, and it involves good times. This is from Personal Defense World. Armed robber killed by handgun carrying customers, plural, customers, at Indy gas station. The attempted robbery of an Indianapolis gas station ended with the armed robber killed after two armed citizens stepped in to end the criminal activity. If that isn't a happy story, I don't know what is. And the story goes like this. An armed robber chose the wrong gas station since he ended up being shot by two customers in one who happened to be carrying handguns for self-defense. According to reports, a man entered a Northside gas station in Indianapolis, Indiana, a little after 6 p.m., displaying a gun with intent to rob the store. That's when two customers drew handguns and shot the assailant while other customers fled the business. Yeah, I would guess so. Police arrived at the Get Go gas station at the intersection of Pendleton Pike and Shadeland Avenue and found the suspect down and being covered. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. And being covered by the Good Samaritans. Paramedics transported the suspect to the hospital where he later died. While people seemed sad that the man died, they also felt that the use of force was justified. I'm really sorry that someone lost their life, said Indianapolis resident John Brewer, but I would think that the amount of force they used might have been necessary to protect someone's life. Crime doesn't pay. But if this isn't the quote of the night, I don't know what is. Crime doesn't pay. Karma is real. You get what you get. Dude, whoever you are, perfect sentence. Thank you very much. This is why you listen to happy stories in the saloon right here. The customers who stepped in are cooperating with authorities, providing statements on what happened during the event, as are the other customers who witnessed the action take place and then fled. Feats do your stuff. Police have not identified the armed robber. They're also unsure which customer fired the deadly round. However, nobody else was injured in the robbery. And why I say that is most def a happy story. And this is also a happy story. And this is a story that I brought to you, and I'm bringing it to you now because my guess would be you're not going to hear it anyplace else. You're certainly not going to hear it on ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, etc., and a host of other sites like that. Probably, certainly not the New York Times or the Boston Globe. Bank of America, this is the headline. Bank of America, Citigroup, punished for post-Parkland gun control policies in Louisiana vote. Okay, that's kind of a mouthful. Let's unpack that just a little bit because it is a happy story. A Louisiana commission voted Thursday, Mike, this is in your area, a Louisiana commission voted Thursday to block two banking giants from taking part in a new highway project, moving to punish the companies for gun control policies they adopted after the Parkland, Florida school shooting this year. Citigroup and Bank of America had said they would work only with retailers who agree to new restrictions on gun purchases, rules stricter than what federal law requires. Louisiana's Bond Commission said it wouldn't tolerate that kind of bullying over a constitutional right and voted 7-6 to block the companies from gaining a piece of the financing for a $600 million highway plan. Stop. Isn't that what leftists do to us? Sure it is. They want to block, stop, obfuscate, and make sure that people on the right, that they're hurt. They're impacted. In other words, they're not just stopped, they're punished. There must be punishment involved. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that's perfect, that they should get some of their very own medicine in reverse. And that's basically what's happening here. The vote was a win for pro-gun advocates looking to make inroads in a debate that is increasingly splitting into the corporate area and comes as major service companies and social media giants move to adopt anti-firearm policies. If you have zero respect for the U.S. Constitution, then you don't need to do business with the state of Louisiana, said Senator John N. Kennedy, a Republican who cheered his state's move on from Washington. And I'll tell you what, that's why I think that's a great, great story. Now, I was going to go into John Brennan, and as BZ's axiom is, when you do show prep, you always make sure that you have way too much show prep in case something goes wrong, like what is happening to my computer right now. I've got another probably 16 or 20 tabs for stories that I want to get into, and Google Chrome has decided that it's going to stop me. And let's turn this down. And so while I wait for Google Chrome to stop screwing with me, have I got some stories for you that I happen to print out? Here's one. And do you remember that today, Thursday, was supposed to be the day that there were 300 newspapers that were going to come out with editorials, specifically anti-Trump editorials in their op-ed pages today, all across the fruited plain. And some of them did. Some of them decided, for example, the Wall Street Journal decided that they were not going to go that fashion, and they didn't put anything that was anti-Trump on their op-ed page today. Then, of all places, I didn't see this one coming. The Los Angeles Times then decided that they were going to not put anything on their op-ed page. And this is the statement, and this is just off the top of my head. What they essentially said in a statement was, we're not followers, we're leaders, we're not going to let any other person tell us what to put on our op-ed page and when and for any reason. And though the Los Angeles Times is clearly a way leftist organ, obviously, the fact that they said that they're not going to follow down that road, much as what you may say or think about the Los Angeles Times, for that's a stand. And I have to say to all of them, especially those editors who decided to make that decision, whether it was a single editor or whether it was a whole host of editors, I have to say, folks, you get a little bit more respect from me. I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay. Here's what I was going to do, because I'm waiting for Chrome to come back up. I have got a great article. Things are cool. I've got a great article that I want to read you guys, because this goes hand in hand with all the wacky things that were being said today on the op-ed pages of newspapers all across the United States. Here's an article that I found from, let's see, that would be 6 days ago. This was, I swear, I'm going to read this story to you, and you're going to shake your head. You're going to do the Warner Brothers. But this actually got printed in USA Today. It's by, I've never heard of this person. It's by a person called Tina Dupuy, D-U-P-U-Y. Good luck trying to pronounce that name. This is the headline. Donald Trump broke the presidency. It's time to get rid of the job altogether. No, I'm not kidding. That is the headline. The subber is Donald Trump is proof that the U.S. presidency is broken and democracy is in peril. It's time to amend the Constitution and abolish the presidency. And right about this time, you may be thinking, BZ, you're looking at an article straight out of The Onion, dude, or it's out of your fetid brain housing group. No, it's not. I printed it out, and here it is. And it says, abolish the POTUS. We've seen it. The belligerent typo-ridden tweets, the fawning press conference. He must be talking about Kofif, which was great last year. The belligerent typo-ridden tweets, the fawning press conferences with autocrats and overlords, the self-described Nazis on parade praising an American president's name. We've seen it with our own eyes. There is a bloated authoritarian lounging in his bathrobe in a 200-year-old mansion that used to symbolize the principal republic of the world. Oh, it gets better if you think that was strong. This is a man who openly conspired to cheat with the help of a hostile foreign nation in a federal election. You know, when you talk about irony and you talk about hypocrisy, I continue. On election night, he came in second place, yet due to the scab of slavery in the Constitution, and then she writes, parenthesis, the Electoral College. Folks, were you aware that the scab of slavery in the Constitution is, in fact, apparently, if you're a leftist, the Electoral College? Hey, Supreme Court jurist Ruth Bader Ginsburg says we need to get rid of the Electoral College because apparently, sub rosa, this is getting in the way of leftists ruling everything. She continues, this usurper has the full power of the most powerful military in history, command of the Treasury, the absolute power to pardon, and he can unilaterally annihilate millions of people with his command to deploy nuclear weapons. Anybody say that about Reagan? He's made refugees begging us for mercy into orphans, hoping it will deter other asylum seekers. Because he can. He's now poised to put a man on the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, who believes in supreme leaders. If they're Republican, that is. Wait a minute. You know, if I had a producer, which I don't, you probably would have heard this. He's now poised to put a man on the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, who believes in supreme leaders. If they're Republican, that is. Okay, but I don't have a producer, so that's not what you heard. Russia attacked our country. The target was Hillary Clinton and liberal democracy, and they hit their mark. If you're stunned that President Donald Trump is still in office because he's so horrible and so unpopular and so obviously corrupt, you're not alone. The overwhelming majority agrees with you. Only about 25% of eligible voters voted for President Grab-em by the P... Yet, the majority was apparently powerless to stop him. Powerless. Impeachment won't remove Trump from office. And I have other bad news. The remedy in our Constitution for a treasonous turncoat who got into the White House on a technicality is impeachment. But guess what? Impeachment has never gotten rid of a bad president in this country. Not ever. Bill Clinton finished his term after being impeached. The threat of impeachment got Nixon to step down, but impeachment as a whole has failed. It's never lived up to its promise. I'm surprised that this leftist even mentioned Clinton at all. I suspect this. The reason they mentioned Clinton is because, as far as they're concerned, Clinton, during his presidential run for 2 terms in the early to mid-90s, he was insufficiently left for the left. It failed to remove President Andrew Johnson, described by his contemporaries as the vilest radical and most unscrupulous demagogue in the Union. The main charge against Johnson was that he ignored the authority and will in Congress. It was that a group of concerned citizens saw a monarchy in the making and drew up a petition titled Memorial Regarding the Abolition of the Presidency. Their idea was to copy the Swiss Republic and make the executive branch a federal council without veto power. Mid-19th century Americans' trepidations that an emperor could follow an idealistic revolution was well-founded. They'd witnessed that very thing in France with the ascension of Napoleon. By the way, anybody know anything about history? Anybody know anything about George Washington? Anybody know anything about the Founding Fathers saying, you know, Georgie, if you want, we can make you like king, dude. And George Washington said, no, today that's not going to happen. We may do a president thingy, but being a dictator in the United States, that's not going to work. She continues, the petition makes the case that the three branches of government are not equal. Well, she forgets the fourth branch of government, the deep state. Congress is more dependent on the president than he is on Congress, reads the petition. The president has the elements of power. Congress has but words. He can act. Congress can but talk. The pamphlet printed in 1868 offers that a constitutional monarchy is still a monarchy, and the exorbitant powers of the executive branch are borrowed from monarchs, which makes it impossible to hold the president accountable. And if the president is above the law, they argue, he's an autocrat and not a small d Democrat. So we need to abolish the presidency to save the democracy. In 1973, the idea came up again a few weeks after the second inauguration of Richard Nixon. See a theme here? When Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Barbara Tuchman wrote a piece in the New York Times asking, should we abolish the presidency? Tuchman argued that Congress is at fault for the executive branch becoming too powerful. Responsibility must be put where it belongs, in the voter. The failure of Congress is a failure of the people. 18 months later, Nixon resigned. His successor gave Nixon a blanket pardon, ratifying that he was, in fact, above the law. And that's just not a bad, Steven Seagal movie either. Tuchman also touted the Swiss Republic's use of a council in lieu of a hero like dad figure. But I'm most... This is telling. If this isn't telling, I don't know what is. She continues to write, but I'm most inspired by Comedy Central's The President Show, starring comedian Anthony Atamanulk with his searing Trump impersonation. Atamanulk is introduced as the 45th and final president. This is where it gets great. We can make that happen. My fear isn't Trump. It's that the next autocrat is most likely smarter and savvier than Trump. Well, where do you think that autocrat is going to come from? Are you thinking about that at all, Tina? Apparently not. Every partisan from every niche of American politics should be alarmed. We have a branch of government that stinks so bad it's wafted over the entire nation and its outer territories. The entire world sees it. We're in trouble. The presidency is broken. Our little democratic experiment is in peril. Huzzah, huzzah. You know, after I said the entire Democratic thing is in peril, if I had a producer, you would have heard. But I don't have a producer, so you didn't hear that. She writes, finally, we can amend the Constitution to save the Republic, abolish the presidency, power to the people, power to the Congress, make the co-equal branches of government more equal. So I guess we don't need 3 branches of government. What the hell? Just cut one out wholesale. Power to the Congress. Make the co-equal branches of government more equal. Give us a council of boring bureaucrats who will do their job, serve the people, and leave after the term ends. Because, as our forefathers believed, democracy is worth fighting for, even if you have to fight a mad king for it. Remember, this is the leftist axiom. When you can't win by the rules, just change the rules. If a sitting Supreme Court justice believes that, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, hey, this is BZ commenting, why shouldn't anybody else? Imagine that. Okay, it looks like Chrome is working, so we're going to start out talking about John Brennan. We got a break coming up in a couple of minutes, but I want to start this because this happens to be Sarah Huckabee Sanders addressing the issue of John Brennan losing his security clearance. And we're going to address a host of all those issues for the rest of the show. And I don't even have to worry about that really way cool and funny tape. And I'm going to have to look at chat to see if you guys enjoyed that, because as you saw on the video, I was laughing like a bastard when I was listening to that. So anyway, we're going to start with Sarah Huckabee Sanders addressing the issue. We're going to go to a break, and we'll come right back, and we will continue with the discussion involving John Brennan and the loss, the terrible loss, how sad, of his security clearance.
Mr. Brennan has recently leveraged his status as a former high-ranking official with access to highly sensitive information to make a series of unfounded and outrageous allegations, wild outbursts on the internet and television about this administration. Mr. Brennan's line and recent conduct, characterized by increasingly frenzied commentary, is wholly inconsistent with access to the nation's most closely held secrets and facilities, the very aim of our adversaries, which is to sow division and chaos.
So here's what he said, John Brennan, when this came out, that he no longer has that top security access, which I don't think he was using. He said this action is part of a broader effort by Mr. Trump to suppress freedom, speech, and punish critics. It should gravely worry all Americans, including intelligence professionals, about the cost of speaking out. My principles are worth far more than clearances. I will not relent. It's not...
Okay, stop. We're going to take a break here for a second. When we come back, you're going to hear in this particular audio cut someone call, essentially, Brennan a butthead. And then we're going to have an interesting conversation with former General Tata, who has some interesting insight into that, and that's why I want you to hear it. And then I'm going to go over Brennan's reply because, you know, Brennan was told, or he's insisting, and the American media maggots are insisting, his freedom of speech is being repressed. Yeah, John Brennan's freedom of speech is being repressed so terribly that he got the entire op-ed page today in the New York Times with a readership of, I don't know, maybe 3 million or so. Yeah, clearly John Brennan's First Amendment freedoms, they are being trampled asunder.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media, from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m., right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
the what?
thingies.
Those what? Things. We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
How long is it? The show.
You know? What?
The show.
Okay. What show?
The new show. Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, apparently I do have a producer tonight, and it's none other than Sackhead Sean. And if you liked the last video, the audio cut that I had earlier in the show due to Sean, which was a couple of guys in a rally car, and Sammy, you can't continue to do that. Sammy, you're going to crash. He gave me another video on here, and the setup for this, we're going to get back to Brennan, okay, but while we're on a laugh riot roll, let's continue on that roll, because, hey, if I can't do what I want when I want on this show, then what the hell am I here for? I'm here to have fun. You're here to have fun. I'm here to change the direction of the show anytime I want, because after all, it's my show. So the setup is, the label on this is Irish Sailing Commentary. And apparently this guy is a color commentator during some kind of a sailing race. And possibly the guy that's doing the commentary, evidently he doesn't know the first thing about sailing.
Olympiad. And we're at the Saloon. Yeah, there you can hear the Olympic horn being sounded. Signifies there's only 4 minutes left of this race, and it's looking very close and confusing. Alicia Cebrian Martinez de Lagos from Espanol.
Espanol.
She's on 26 points, whatever that means. Mind your head. She got fucked out of it there. Very confusing scenes here. We don't know who's in the lead. Or is that Russia at the far left? They're ahead of everyone else. Ahead of Norway and Portugal. And some madman there going the wrong way completely. He doesn't know where he's going. Go back, you fool. You're not going to win any medals going that way. Dickhead. Quick look at the stats. We've got length 4.23. We have a beam of 1.37. It's controversial. Sail area 5.76 meters squared, and a total boat weight of 74 kegs. There you have it. And it's shaping up to be very exciting now. All the nationalities are coming in together. New Zealand, Netherlands there, Brazil, Denmark. Cock in the lead. And who's going to catch the cock? Some idiots watching from the sideline there, binoculars in hand. Lovely finish, lady. Won't mind finishing off with her. Australian flag. The Aussies are afoot. Or I can't see them. You'd hear them before you'd see them. A load of fuckers there, actually. For what is essentially a very, very boring sport indeed. Belarus, there. Not so good on the water, it seems. Questionable human rights records as well for that country. Very windy. There's Ireland in the background. Watch the fucking head. Nearly got twatted with the sail again. The Dutch as well. Must have been smoking. There we have Team GB, led by Steven Spielberg. He's taking notes there. A couple of other lads on the phones to probably wives and children or other film producers. I don't know why he's there. Is that the finish line? So there's still a minute 30 left on the clock anyway. More idiots at the side there. From some former British colony, it seems. Don't know where exactly, but they look annoying as we reach the last minute. And yeah, there is the Olympic horn again. Who's going to win this? Tim Henman looks on from the boat with Spielberg and the boys. Very mix of people on the Team GB boat there, blending the world of film and sport. But yeah, it's looking very close now. Everybody's bunching together. I'm not familiar with the strategy or tactics in sailing, but come here, it's very, very exciting. We've 15 seconds left. Somebody has to win this. It's neck and neck and neck. New Zealand are getting help off the Brits there. They're sailing dangerously close to the boat. And 5 seconds. Who's going to win? Someone has to win before the clock runs out. Come on! The Olympic horn sounds and no one crossed the line before the clock ran out. Or it's the beginning of the race. It's the beginning. I got it wrong. It's the beginning of the race. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time here. We have to leave. But back with more sports soon from the 30th Olympiad. Thank you very much.
Sackhead Sean, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That was your basic essential laugh riot. Now, how do I do this? How do I transition from that?
Good morning, Jillian and Rob.
Oh, hush up there. How do you transition from that back into John Brennan? And, well, I guess I'm going to have to. Now, I've only got 20 minutes left in the show, and I gotta finish this stuff because I had a real serious show set up here. Well, okay, let's try to get serious because we're going to go back to John Brennan, and this is on Fox and Friends earlier this morning, and they're talking about John Brennan having lost his security clearance.
Not so much what he said. It's the way he said it, the way he delivered it, and what he knows that had this administration extremely concerned.
Mark Levin made an excellent point last night on Sean Hannity's show. He said this has nothing to do with freedom of speech. Listen.
Levin was correct. I heard this.
Nobody's stopping Brennan from speaking. In fact, nobody could stop. He has a big mouth. He will never shut up. The idea that he has a right to access to information because he served in the Obama administration at the CIA is a preposterous argument. Who else is the president looking at? Comey was a leaker, and he absconded with government documents when he left. Cabe is under criminal investigation. Peter Strzok was just fired. The guy in charge of counterintelligence.
By the way, that's how I'm pronouncing his name forevermore, Peter Strzok.
Investigations for misconduct. His security should be pulled. James Clapper committed perjury. Bruce Orr, another one. Pulled. Yates, another one. Not because the president has a problem with Democrats or liberals. He has a problem with these people.
Are there other people that the president might have a problem with and would want to jerk their security clearance? We've got a big screen with a whole bunch of faces that are familiar. A number of them had been fired by the FBI. They've been demoted. Clapper lied famously in front of Congress. It's interesting. Jim Jordan said yesterday if any of them still have clearances, they should lose them. Joe DeGeneres said, it is a glorious day for America. An evil man has lost something he's not entitled to, as you look at some of those who still have access to classified information.
Let me stop it here just for a second. So John Brennan clearly was butthurt. And he gets the bully pulpit when John Brennan is butthurt. So what he did today, because his freedom of speech has certainly been repressed, the New York Times gave him the entire damn editorial page to editorialize, and by God, he did. And this is what, if, again, like the massive ego that comes with someone as stupid and ridiculous and sociopathic, basically, as Peter Strzok, John Brennan certainly has to be in this category because this is what he wrote as he was given free rein for the entire New York Times editorial page, reaching at least 3 million people. This is the headline: John Brennan, President Trump's claim of no collusion are hogwash. But notice what he does in this article as I read this. That's why the president revoked my security clearance to try to silence me and silence anyone who would dare challenge him. When Alexander Bortnikov, the head of Russia's internal security service, told me during an early August 2016 phone call that Russia wasn't interfering in our presidential election, I knew he was lying. Over the previous several years, I had grown weary of Mr. Bortnikov's denials of Russia's perfidy, about its mistreatment of American diplomats and citizens in Moscow, its repeated failure to adhere to ceasefire agreements in Syria, and its military and paramilitary intervention in eastern Ukraine, to name but a few issues. When I warned Mr. Bortnikov that Russian interference in our election was intolerable and would roil United States and Russia relations for many years, he denied Russian involvement in any election. Okay, stop here just for a second. Remember again what the title, and I will go back in reference to the title of this headline in his editorial. President Trump's claims of no collusions are hogwash. So when he writes that, what's the first thing that you think of? You think of the fact that, okay, John Brennan is about to proffer evidence and clear information of Russian collusion between specifically President Trump and Russia itself. Right? Isn't that what that headline indicates to you? Let's continue with the article. He denied Russian involvement in any election in America or elsewhere with a feigned sincerity that I had heard many times before. Okay. President Vladimir Putin of Russia reiterated those denials numerous times over the past 2 years, often to Donald Trump's seeming approval. Russian denials are, in a word, hogwash. Okay, do you see what he did there? It's him with the approval of the New York Times editorial board and every one of its editors, because I'm sure there was no complaint in the way that headline was crafted purposely by John Brennan. It's misleading. The misleading portion of that headline is, now you're going to find out, because John, we knew on the left, we knew the LDAM, the leftists, the Democrats, the American media maggots, we knew they had all along, they were clutching information and hard, clear evidence that Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, did in fact collude and influenced negatively the elections between Trump and Russia, and that's how Hillary Clinton got kicked to the curb. It wasn't because she had a terrible message and was the worst damn messenger in the history of history. No. It was because Trump interfered with the election with the help of Russia, and now we have the smoking evidence. Right? So he goes back to the article. Russian denials are, in a word, hogwash. But he's not talking about Trump and Russia collusion. He's talking about generically Russia potentially, possibly being involved in the elections. Have you heard a Trump-Russian clear nexus yet? And the answer is no, you haven't. And the reason you haven't heard it, and the reason he didn't lead with it, is because it doesn't exist. So we continue on with his editorial page, his rights so obviously being suppressed by the New York Times. Before, during, and after its now infamous meddling in our last presidential election, stop, because we all know Barack Hussein Obama did not meddle in the election of, or the attempted election, and the subsequent election of Benjamin Netanyahu, having sent hundreds of $1,000s of your taxpayer money directly over to his opponents, that is to say, Benjamin Netanyahu's opponents in Israel. So, hey, America interfere in elections? No. And just remember, by the way, Mike Pence, who used to be governor of Indiana, were you aware that the Department of Homeland Security went into the election system of Indiana and purposely hacked Indiana's election system? But just remember, it's the United States of America that never interferes in any elections, to which I reply, of course, bullshit alert. So before, during, and after its now infamous meddling in our last presidential election, Russia practiced the art of shaping political events abroad through its well-honed active measures program, which employs an array of technical capabilities. And you know what? Here's a page of crap. There it goes. And now he's talking about the FBI. And here's a page of crap. And it goes over here. And here's page 4. And he's mentioning Comey again. And he's mentioning a public clarion call. And that's a load of crap. And here's page 5 of his editorial. And he says, finally he gets to it. He says, Mr. Trump's claims of no collusion are, in a word, hogwash. And the rest of it is blah, 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 Trump Incorporated, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, and that page goes by the wayside. And the final page here is Mr. Trump clearly has become more desperate to protect himself and those close to him. Nowhere in this editorial, which was, the page was handed over directly to John Brennan. Nowhere in this editorial by John Brennan does it make anything even remotely resembling any sort of a case where President Trump is involved in election interference with Russia, which is why the entire headline, this entire article, this entire editorial in the New York Times is further proof, clearly indicative of the fact that New York Times is nothing more than fake news. By the way, were you aware that John Brennan was a communist and voted communist? Let's stop here for just a second. Let's make a couple of observations, kind of off the top of my head and the top of my headphones. Do you think maybe printing this article gives more credence to the fact that John Brennan is not deserving of a security clearance? Sorry, couldn't miss that one. And the answer is yes. he keeps digging a hole. He's not familiar with the first rule of holes. Let's go back to this information. While this is what was said of John Brennan, while riding a bus to class at Fordham, he saw an ad in the New York Times that said the CIA was recruiting. He decided that a CIA career would be a good match for his wanderlust and his desire for public service. Here's the bullet point. During his application to the CIA, he admitted, and this is for people who say that no, at no time did John Brennan ever vote or was aligned with anything communist at all. And again, you know what crap that is, because these are his own words. During his application to the CIA, he admitted in a lie detector test that he had voted for the U.S. Communist Party candidate for president, Gus Hall, in 1976. That's admitted by him. And that was his editorial. And we are in full agreement and cognizance that, listen, poor John Brennan has been trod upon, and his freedoms to speak, oh, they're gone, right? Okay, Fox and Friends.
And finally, John Kennedy, the Republican from Louisiana, had perhaps my favorite soundbite of the day yesterday. He said regarding Mr. Brennan, "I called him a butthead, and I meant it. He is giving the national intel community a bad name." That is certainly a quote from Mr. Kennedy.
Right. You know where he felt? Because he was right at the right hand of President Obama, and then he became President Obama's CIA director when he couldn't pass the first time. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk.
By the way, notice that he didn't pass the first time. That happens to be absolutely true. Here's an article that I think I'm going to wrap up the show with. And this is, again, by, number one, I don't know if you know who Lee Smith is. If you read, there are certain journalists, individual journalists, that you should be reading. Lee Smith is one of them. Sarah A. Carter at sarahacarter.com is another one you should be listening to and reading. This is by Lee Smith. This is from realclearinvestigations.com, which is a sub-sideways kind of thing from Real Clear Politics, which you ought to be reading as well. But this is an article by Lee Smith, who wrote The Strong Horse, one of the two best books that I've ever read, besides the Closed Circle by David Price Jones, about how Islam in the Middle East functions, how it works. And Lee Smith was extremely clear with this book. I have my very own signed copy of that from him. The article is this, and so when people tell you that, everyone's saying that Brennan is so put upon, and he is in fact losing his rights, and it's all because of Trump, and he deserves to have that security clearance. This is an article from Lee Smith saying, privately, intel officials are back shutting out Brennan and Clapper. President Trump has been criticized for politicizing the intelligence community by threatening to strip the security clearances of former top officials, including John Brennan and James Clapper. But numerous past and present senior administrative intelligence officials say that the Obama administration started the politicization and that revoking the clearances of those who abuse the privilege for partisan purposes may help right the ship. So, again, in D.C., it's what people are willing to say in public and what they're expressing to each other in private. As is often the case with the Trump administration, the rollout of the policy is bad, but the idea driving the policy is sound, said one senior intelligence official who, like others interviewed for this article, spoke to Real Clear Investigations only on condition of anonymity. Because they don't want to know, they don't want you to know that they're ratting out their brothers and sisters and essentially pulling the curtains back, and you can see the professor. All right? And you can see the emperor is, in fact, naked. One senior intelligence official said, who spoke only on conditions of anonymity. Under some Obama-era intelligence chiefs, intelligence was used as a political weapon. Let me read that again. Under some Obama-era intelligence chiefs, intelligence was used as a political weapon. We need to root that out, not reward it. Stop. Now, what is it said by the LDAM, the leftists, the Democrats, and the American media maggots, and they've been trumpeting this clarion call now for at least a year, that When you say negative things about the intelligence community, all 17 intelligence agencies that are under the umbrella and the aegis of the intelligence community, when you say anything deleterious or negative about that, you're hurting them all. So you can't say anything bad about the FBI because they are apolitical and unbiased. You can't say anything about the NSA because they are apolitical and unbiased. And you can't say anything about the CIA because they are apolitical and unbiased. And these are the people, and this is why I'm reading you the story, who are telling you. So if anybody attempts to tell you that, you know that they're lying to your face and the ossicles right in the side of your head. Under some Obama-era intelligence chiefs, intelligence was used as a political weapon. I call bullshit. And they're telling you that what you sensed inherently, if you had any amount of common sense whatsoever, even the slightest weeny modicum of common sense, it's just confirmed. It's not clear the White House is moving forward on Trump's threats last month to revoke these clearances. Now, this was published, by the way, back on August 5th, so we know what did, in fact, happen to Brennan's clearance today, Clarence. After Brennan's continued media attacks on Trump following the Helsinki summit with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, Senator Rand Paul advised the president to strip him of his clearance. The White House did not respond to requests for comment. By the way, Rand Paul is a libertarian. He's not necessarily a Republican. He votes Republican, but he's a libertarian. I kind of tend to believe Rand Paul with regard to that. Some sources say former CIA Director Brennan, ex-Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, and others with security clearances were emboldened to pursue political agendas through the anti-Trump media in a climate of impunity created by the Justice Department's failure to prosecute leaks attending Donald Trump's election. Notable among the leaks, they said, was a top unnamed official's unmasking of Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn in a January 2017 Washington Post column by David Ignatius, sourced to classified intercepts of Flynn's contacts with the Russian ambassador. Leaking such classified information is a felony. The very people who are now talking the most know the details of how the Flynn intercept was leaked, a senior U.S. official told Real Clear Investigations. They wouldn't be out talking like that if they'd been interviewed by the FBI. The Department of Justice has declined to comment. In February, Attorney General Jeff Sessions said the Justice Department is aggressively investigating the Flynn leak as one of 27 open investigations into unauthorized disclosures of classified intelligence, but to date, none of those have brought indictments. Brennan, this is also very important, very salient. Brennan has used his current position as contributor to NBC News and MSNBC, as well as his social media presence to wage a rhetorical assault on Trump. He described Trump's meeting with Putin in Helsinki last month as nothing short of treasonous. From his perch at CNN, Clapper has launched like-minded barrages against the White House. The networks did not respond to requests for comment from or about Brennan or Clapper. Imagine that. Security clearances are commonly extended for the top leaders of the intelligence community after they leave their jobs on the rare chance that they should be called upon to consult with their successors. Stop. That's not happening. That's not happening with Brennan. No one is interested in consulting with him. The Trump administration is not going to call in Susan Rice for advice, never mind John Brennan, said one active intelligence officer. And if someone does get called in from a previous administration, they can get a temporary clearance akin to a one-day non-disclosure agreement. There's so much more about John Brennan. I highly recommend that you do an investigation on the internet yourself, because you can find out so much that people are never, ever, ever going to tell you about this, in my opinion, truly evil man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, BZEP, and on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. My intro song is by Possessed Tranquility. You can find them at ReverbNation.com. Promotional consideration, as per normal, is by the Martin Lockheed Skunk Works, and also by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by Pratt & Whitney Engines, Thrust, You Can Trust. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting and docking in less than an hour. And thanks to KARI Baxter Donovan for the first hour. Thanks to you for listening live. Thanks to you for being in chat and also for listening in podcast. The weekend is coming up. You have a great weekend. Everybody, God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.